Thanks for staying with us. Now we're moving on to another topic. Yesterday, we took a story about the son of the former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Seyi Jakande. He was speaking at the lecture recently hosted by the NGE. I think it was the very first lecture in honor of former governor of Lagos State, Governor Jakande, Alhaji Jakande. And one of the things he said caught our attention. He was trying to allude to the selfless service of his father. And he was speaking at the event saying that his father actually conceived the idea of Banana Island. The man actually started, he conceived the concept of a Banana Island, actually filled up part of the land within that island, but he never allocated any plot of land to himself. And this was a governor, a former governor that many had celebrated, that was very pious. He was never one to garner wealth or try to become rich or enrich himself in any way. He was actually just serving. But we look at that story and we think of how far that brings you when you see other children of former governors who are done well and probably leveraged on their father's position as governor. For example, I can say maybe Femi Otedola, for example, his father was the governor of Lagos State, and his story is probably different from Mr. Seyi Jakande because they're two different opportunities. So the question today is, when we talk about integrity or we talk about selfless service, I think that's a better way to put it, selfless service, how selfless should we be when it comes to our own service to humanity and service to our family? I was sharing with the ladies at some point that my father was a lawyer, and when he takes cases, he'll take oranges. You know, while his friends were buying houses in a, was it Dolphy was winning then? I mean, in fact, Dolphy, he wasn't buying. He was just, you know, doing his selfless service. Today, I was hustling to buy a house, you know, in Lagos. You know, the other day I had the opportunity to see Chief Razak Okoya, and I was coming towards my book launch, and I was telling them, when I started making money, it was your daddy that told me to go and buy land. Yeah, I didn't know anything. I was just making money. I didn't know I had to buy land. It was your father that told me to go and buy land. He even helped me with the documentation to go and buy land. So I'm like, eh? So he could tell you to buy land. He, for his family, you know. So, but that is what we see. And we think, does it still hold water today? Where you say you have an opportunity. Should you help your family? Or in the name or in the sake of selflessness, you just serve and go. And then your children in 20, 30 years are now saying, oh, my father did this and we didn't get any plot of land. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think there's still value in that selfless service? Want to start, Mariam?
Okay, so it's sad, unfortunately, that today we have to put integrity on the table and look at it, whether integrity is good or it's not good, because of the way the world is. The truth is, it's better really in the end to be a person of integrity. I mean, for yourself, you can go to, I mean, for a lot of people, you know, on their deathbed, there's so many things that they will regret and there are many things that they'll be proud of. And one I hear is, you know, that you did the right thing. For your children and those behind you, they will have to make a name for themselves or whatever it is that they think is right. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be thinking, oh, thank God I made sure they got, you know, when it's between you and God, I don't think you'll be saying, thank God I make sure I kept houses for them or I kept land for them. You're thinking, I hope I was an upstanding, righteous person while I lived my life. It's also sad because it looks like integrity has been punished over the years. People with integrity are not people that we respect today, because integrity meant putting, dipping your hands in resources that was not meant for you. But there's this story, my husband says that when he said that was the things that changed in civil service really when the military came. When others, okay, the first set of people, when they left with nothing. And the next set are like, no, never. This is not going to happen to me. You know, I'm going to make sure that I am sorted. And so we have always encouraged that sorting out. And then those who have integrity have been looked at as they were not smart enough, they were not wise enough, they did not think about their family. But the truth is, it's best to have integrity and leave that for your children. Your children can also build on that. Having money you know, there are principles for making money. Some people don't have that opportunity that you have, and they were still able to have make wealth for themselves. The example you gave of Chief Razak Okoya, your father gave him advice. He made money for himself by himself, not through government, but his, you know, he made wealth for himself.
Through experience.
And your father gave him that advice. Your father gave him that advice based on his own, you know, education and exposure, and was able to give him advice. If your father had talked to him also about making wealth, maybe there would have been an exchange of how you can do that. Okay, you two for your children, why don't you invest in this business or stop collecting oranges for the services that you render, maybe.
Okay, well, coming to you, that we'll talk about you. I mean, I want us also focus this on, on this issue, because it's quite interesting how, when I heard him speak, when I was reading the conversation, I mean, how he was, I felt he was a bit hurt. Was almost trying to tell the government of Lagos State that, listen, my father has served this land, and maybe we deserve more than we're getting. Maybe that's how it was communicated to me. So I was thinking, how does it come across to you?
So for me, I think, number one, no matter, they say, like, the light can run for 100 years or 20 years, and in one day truth catches up to it. So no matter how much we deface what integrity or selflessness, because in this case, this man was selfless. No matter how we deface selflessness and we applaud selfishness as a society, the results would always show for itself. A community, a society built by selfish people would end up in poverty, as you can see. And a society built by selfless people will end up in growth. And under Jakande's administration, between 1979 to 1983, he built a society on selflessness, and that society experienced massive growth. That's what happens with selflessness. Selfishness brings people down. Selflessness lifts the entire society up. When you're selfish, one person goes up. When you're selfless, everybody gets to go up. And as a country, that is our biggest problem, that our leaders go up, pull a few people to join them up, majority remain down and even go lower. So we need to address that part. Jakande made a name for himself. Alhaji Lateef Jakande. Everywhere you go to Agbara, you will stop at Jakande bus stop. You are going to Isol, Jakande bus stop. Okay, you are in Mile 2, Jakande bus stop. Mile 2, Jakande bus stop. Lekki, Jakande bus stop. Every corner of Lagos in 4 years had a Jakande bus stop. You can change anything if you are selfless in 4 years. Our leaders need to go back and study. The clamor of the Jakande family should be to create a Jakande course for politicians to study on how you can transform a society in a short while via selflessness. Because for me, that is what Jakande represents. Are we appreciating him enough? I'm happy he lived long. He got to, we celebrated at 90. I remember the 90th celebration. People stood up to talk about how he created the blueprint of Lagos that thankfully our current president revisited and revamped and were following through. And how he got that acknowledgement at live. You know, he was alive and he was celebrated at 90. People stood around him. I think he lived a very quality life. And every other thing they can use to appreciate him, it should be given to him and his family to appreciate him. All
right, I'll come to you, Toby, because you know, when we talk about this stuff, nobody is in any way watering down the essence of what he did at all. It was more of, if we look at it, for example, like the Femi Otedolas, you know, his father was a governor. And he was probably given some kind of platform. You can't tell me that, oh, he just woke up one morning and became rich. Something probably helped him to build the business. So we're not saying that you steal from government. Sometimes when you have a connection, so your father opened the door for you because he is in office. So there was somebody was talking to me, I'm coming to you, Toby. A lady was talking to me yesterday saying that her grandfather had the opportunity to bless her with a job, but she refused that job because she just felt that she had to go and find her own. She wanted to just be her own person. Many years down the line, she's regretted. She wished she had taken that opportunity because it was right there. So the point is that if you have the opportunity as a leader to help your family, you choose not to because you want to be selfless. You want that name that, oh, I was governor, I was senator, I was this, and I never helped anybody, my family members. It will be celebrated, but how would that make your family feel? Is that something your family would be proud of, saying that, yes, my father never gave me one job through his office, or my father never introduced me to anybody? Is that what we're asking for? Let me come to you, Toby.
I think that having integrity is not equal to being poor or not being wise, right? So I would also remember that my mom, when we were passing through Magodo, my mom would say, when I was working, they were selling this land 200K. And I'm like, Mom, please, I don't want to hear.
Because you know by then.
You know by then, so why are you just me now? You know, those kind of things. And you also gave your example. To those kind of things, kind of like authors, knowing fully well that people that were in your shoes made that decision and you didn't take it. So for me, I think that if you go through a process to acquiring things for your family, it's not bad. So if, for instance, in this case, there was an application, right, to say, okay, you're allocating lands in Banana Island and you put your family's name and they go through that process to ensure that they get it. I don't think that's bad, but saying that, I mean, even my grandfather too had that same experience. We had stories of him acquired that he should have done a lot of things, but didn't because of integrity. Sometimes I just sit back and say, hey, this integrity matter, you get a CPU. So that's
so that's really where I wanted this conversation to go in. If today, if we all here have an opportunity, would we use that opportunity to serve and also assist those around us? When we come back, we continue and open our phone lines. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.